Hi, Savvy. Hi, Ivy. I've got a book for you today that I think you'll enjoy. It's something about something that y'all like to do in your backyard. Can you figure out what it might be? Well, here it is. It's a book called Little Swimmers about a little boy and girl who like to swim. So let's get started. Little Swimmers is written by Virginia Hunter and illustrated by Dorothy Grinder. Grider. Nana made a boo-boo. All right, here we go. The crowd of happy vacationers had gathered at the boat dock to wait for the regatta and the swimming meet to begin. Tim and Julie stood close to Mother so that they would not be squeezed. Finally, Tim pointed out into the lake and said, "Here come the sailboats!" Soon the boats sailed by with their beautiful, graceful sails billowing in the breeze. They skimmed across the water like silent, speedy birds. Julie's eyes just sparkled, and Tim saluted smartly. "Someday we'll sail in a boat, too." Mother smiled. "But first, you have to know how to swim." See the sailboats with their beautiful sails? Can you see them good? Let me put it up here so you can see them good. See the beautiful sailboats? And there's the little boy and the little girl and their mommy. And a boat regatta is a parade of boats on the water. Like, we see parades at Christmas and things. Well, this is the same thing except it's on the water and it's boats. Okay. The crowd moved towards a bank beside a roped-off area in the lake. Julie and Tim stood off a beached rowboat in order to see the swimmers who were racing and swimming in formations. As the children finally skipped up the path towards their cabin, they unexpectedly met a swimmer who was going to go skin diving. He noticed their curiosity and let Tim look through his face mask. Then Julie tried on his fins, hopping about like a lively frog. The diver laughed. "It's even more fun in the water if you know how to swim." See, there's Tim and Julie, and they're watching the swimmers. And sometimes swimmers in competitions, they'll swim in formations. And that's what they're doing there. And see, they're standing on the overturned rowboat so they can see it good. And here's the gentleman that's going skin diving. And he's letting Tim look through his mask, and he's letting Julie play with his flippers. She looks like a big old frog, don't she, with them flippers on? Yeah, that's cool. Okay. From that moment on, Tim and Julie knew what they wanted the most: swimming lessons. They reminded Mom every day, even after they had returned home from their vacation and school had begun again. One day, right after school, Mother met them at the door. "Don't take off your coats, children," she said. "We're going somewhere." In no time at all, they were climbing the steps to a large building. Once inside, Mother shook hands with a friendly gentleman who was wearing a jacket over swimming trunks. "Children, this is Mr. Johnston. He is going to teach you to swim." Tim and Julie were almost speechless, but not quite. "Thank you, Mother," they both exclaimed. See, they're coming home from school. Tim's got his books, right there, and Julie's got her books in her hand right there, and Mom says, "Don't take your coats off. We're going to go for a trip." Now they're here. They're meeting Mr. Johnson, and they're excited, and they're curious, I'm sure, because they see the swim trunks and the pool. Don't you know they were curious about why they were there? I would have been. I would have been very curious. Mr. Johnson took Tim to the boys' locker room, assigned him a locker, and told him to hang his clothes in the locker. Julie changed in the girls' room, where she met another little girl named Jennifer. Together they walked out to the swimming pool and sat down on the edge of the swimming pool with the rest of the class. Mr. Johnson blew his whistle. This meant to listen carefully. After he introduced himself, he told them what to expect. "The first thing you must learn is how to put your face in the water. We call this bobbing. When you'll practice blowing bubbles or bubbling. After that, you'll learn how to open your eyes in the water and look at your toes. Whoa! Look at Julie's little swimsuit. Isn't that the cutest thing? Little red swimsuit with little ruffles. And Tim's sitting down there quietly listening to Mr. Johnson. They're doing a good job, aren't they? Yeah, they are. They're doing a great job. And the one thing that's very important when you're learning to do something like swimming is to listen to the instructor. There they are. Tim and his friend are looking at their toes under the water and bubbling under the water. And that's where you stick your face down in the water and go blah, 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 blah. Now, would anyone like to volunteer to try it first? Well, Tim raised his hand quickly. This is how he looked as he followed Mr. Johnson's instructions. See here? That's what he's doing. Then the class held hands and tried the same thing. After that, they held on to the side of the pool and practiced kicking their feet. Julie could not get used to having her face in the water. Her eyes stung. So she practiced extra bubbling at home in the bathtub. Soon she got so that she didn't mind opening her eyes at all. Sorry about that. See, she's practicing in the bathtub. Oh, they learned how to do a face float swimming and jellyfish floating. Looks like a jellyfish with his arms hanging down. And then learned to float on their back. How about that? The pool was a merry place at class time. Tim might be seen bending over and grabbing his ankles in a jellyfish float. And Julie might be seen floating face down, arms straight out in front of her, doing the face float. Other boys and girls might be seen practicing the back float with their arms out or above their heads. See? Like these. Julie got over putting her face in the water, didn't she? Yeah. She learned how to do it the correct way. One day, Mr. Johnson took the class into the water, which was chest high. That means right here. He told them to try to dive towards the bottom, but no matter how they tried, the buoyancy of the water always lifted them up before they reached the bottom. It was really very funny, but it taught them how hard it was to actually sink in high water. See? They lift their feet up and they just bob up to the top. Tim and Julie learned the importance of using their arms and legs. They practiced the flutter kick in the pool and out of it. They always tried to remember to keep their knees rather straight as they kicked like this. See, they're keeping their knees straight and they're kicking their legs back and forth like they're actually walking, but they're not really walking. Yeah. They're doing very well, aren't they? Here they are. Smart little boy and girl. Okay, you see the pictures? They also learned the 4 steps of the arm movement in swimming. These steps were easier to remember if they said reach, press, pull, push. They taught Prudence, their parrot, to say the words too. And many evenings Prudence would squawk, reach, press, pull, push, while Tim and Julie went through the motions at home in their pajamas. So Prudence is up there and she's helping them. By the time parents' night arrived, Tim and Julie could swim. Tim did a push-off and the dog paddle for his part of the program. And he remembered to lift his head as he dog paddled. See here? He's doing the dog paddle. That's how dogs and cats swim. They swim on their tummy and they use their feet or legs to paddle along. And that's called the dog paddle. Okay. Julie demonstrated sculling and the crawl. Other students did the butterfly and breaststrokes. Didn't everyone do a good job? That's the crawl. That's the butterfly. That's sculling. I'm not quite sure what that is. And that's the breaststroke. Ooh, look at the boat. Look at that boat. How cool. When vacation time rolled around again, Tim and Julie enjoyed it more than ever now that they could swim. Mother and Father took them speedboating occasionally. How they bounced every time the speedboat hit a wave. They especially looked forward to the regatta and swimming meet. Tim was old enough to enter the swim races this year in the youngest classification, but Julie, being younger than Tim, would have to wait another year. Finally, the big day arrived. Tim crossed his fingers for good luck, then pushed off when the starter's signal rang out. Julie stood on the bank and cheered him on. Tim swam very well, remembering to keep his ankles flexible and his arms relaxed. At the end of the race, he learned that he had finished in second place. Yay, Tim! Good job! Later, all the winning swimmers received presents from a small costumed mermaid who looked kind of like Julie. It was Julie! She was very proud when she presented Tim with the snorkel for his prize. Aren't you glad we learned to swim? She asked. Tim agreed, yes. At that moment, there were no two happier little swimmers than Julie and Tim. And there you are. There's Tim in the race, and he's finishing in second place. And there's Julie giving him his prize. Isn't that neat? That's a cute little mermaid outfit, isn't it? All right. Well, this book taught us what? That it's very important to know how to swim before you get in the water. And in your pool out back at your house, it's only up to your ankle, so it wouldn't be a problem. Unless you were a little baby. Y'all are not little babies. You're big girls. Now, that was your story for Media Monday. And Nana and Papa will see you when they get back. And I love you. And I hope you all be good to your mama and do your chores that mama asked you to do. And be sweet to each other. And be sweet to mama and daddy. And give mom and daddy a big old hug for me, okay? I love you, girls. Bye-bye.